Asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. So that sounds like something you're interested in, asexual entertainment, education, information, and lifestyle videos. I hear at your fingertips. Subscribe and hit that bell icon right now. So in today's special episode for Asexual Awareness Week, happy Ace Week, we are going to be discussing things sexuals should not say to asexuals and why that is. First of all, if you don't know who I am, Sandra Bellamy, author of this awesome Asexual Perspectives book out on Amazon. So if you're new to asexuality and the asexual spectrum, then please do indeed get a copy of this. I'm also the author of Diary Confessions of a Hyperromantic Asexual. So if you're into dating, relationships, especially if you're asexual, this is the ideal book for you. But it applies to anyone of any sexual orientation. This has got all 5-star reviews on Amazon. So just type in the titles in Amazon and you can grab yourself a copy of those. So let's talk about this. What are the things that sexuals should not say to asexuals and why? So sexuals can be very rude and unkind to asexuals some of the time. Not everyone's like that. Everyone's different. And so before we start, I'd just like to say, please keep chat respectful, because if I find there's people trolling this channel or people being rude, I will delete comments or block people, because we need to keep this a nice, friendly space for people. So here goes. Yeah, so there's various things that sexuals say to asexuals, because there's a lot of myths and stereotypes around asexuality. And some of them are just so ludicrous, and some of them are just so far out. So what do I mean? Let's get down to the basics first. So there's a lot of misconceptions about asexuality. Often people think it's abstaining. And so people will ask the question to asexuals like, so why did you choose to not have sex? Like, what's stopping you? Like, have you been through some sort of trauma and you just, and that's why? So first of all, if a person's been through trauma, this is really, really rude and disrespectful. Because, if people have had traumatic experiences, then the last thing they want is for someone to say that to them. It's really rude, right? But secondly, is asexuality is not coming about because of trauma, right? Asexuality isn't a choice. So people think asexuality is a choice. Hello, Yvonne. And people think that asexuality is a choice, but it's not. Asexuality is a sexual orientation. Just like heterosexuality is a sexual orientation, pansexuality, bisexuality, homosexuality. Asexuality is also a sexual orientation. So it's not something we choose to be, like someone chooses to abstain. If someone chooses to abstain, it means they're not having sex for a particular reason, because for religious reasons it might be. They're abstaining till marriage, this type of thing, right? But asexuality is not a choice. It's not something we're choosing to do. It's something that we just are in our sexual orientation. So it's really important to set that straight. Another thing is, some sexuals say, oh, have you got a mental disorder? Like, have you checked that out? I recently attended a meetup a few weeks ago, and this guy was saying to me, is that like some sort of mental disorder? Like, how do you need to be checked for mental disorder? I'm like, no, it's not a mental disorder. It's a sexual orientation that is based on a lack of sexual attraction. The reason some people say this, some sexuals say this, is because they can't fathom and understand why someone would not have the need, urge, or want for partnered sexual intercourse, which comes on to another thing sexuals say you should never say to asexuals, which is, oh, that's unnatural, right? This is very dismissive of our sexual orientation, and it's basically saying that everyone in the world has to be the same, right? It is natural for some people to be asexual. It's natural for some people to not get the need, urge, or want for partnered sexual intercourse. This is natural for some people, right? So there's nothing unnatural about it. It's just that the majority of the population is heterosexual, and the majority of the population thinks that people should be having sex in a relationship. But just like some people like doing some things, other people don't like doing other things. And again, with asexuality, some asexuals do actually have sex. Because even though they lack sexual attraction, it doesn't stop them taking sexual action if they're not sex repulsed and they are okay to have sex. So people should not think that being asexual means that everyone in the asexual spectrum never wants sex. But there's a lot of people that are not interested in sex because they don't experience sexual attraction. So they've got no desire or need for sex when they don't experience that attraction that usually would instigate sex. So another thing is some sexuals say, oh, so you're just frigid or you're a prude. This is not about being frigid or a prude, right? Asexuals can have sex if they wanted to, right? They're still, their hormones are working and stuff like that. But a lot of usually their hormones are working absolutely fine. You know, I know there'll probably be one person going, oh, my hormones are not right or something. But you know what I mean? Asexuality has got nothing to do with a hormone imbalance and things like that, right? If you've got a hormone imbalance, just get it checked out, right? But asexuality is an actual sexual orientation regardless of what hormones are doing. So some asexuals do have sex, but a majority of asexuals not interested in it because they don't experience the sexual attraction. And then you get sexuals that say, hi, on dating sites, I'd love to have an asexual experience. And I've had this before. I talk about this in my Diary Confessions of a Hyper-Romantic Asexual book. There was a guy that was on a dating site and he actually said to me, I'd love to have an asexual experience with you. So I have to be blunt and say asexuality is not an experience. We're not like some red letter day that is an experience you can just try for a day and then like go off, right? Asexuality is not an experience. It's a genuine sexual orientation. And it's not like a coat that you can try on for size. It's a genuine sexual orientation. I find that very disrespectful. Very rude, and it's basically saying that we're only good for like temporary kind of fun satisfaction or something. This is not on, right? We're genuine human beings that deserve just as much love, care, time, and attention as anyone does of any sexual orientation. We're not some novelty that you can just try on. We're an actual sexual orientation. So when you say stuff like, oh, I just want to have a asexual experience, you're not actually going to have the asexual experience if you're not asexual, right? What you mean to say is you just want to treat asexuals like a novelty for your pleasure while you're dating to see what the difference is or something like that, right? Which I find really, really rude because we're not something to be played with. We're not a play toy. We're actually human beings that have feelings and emotions. And another thing some sexuals say is, oh, so you never want a relationship then if you don't have sex. And that's not true, right? Just because some of us don't want sex, don't like it and need it, doesn't mean to say we don't want a relationship. Because a lot of us still want connection. Some of us still want romance. Some of us still want a life partner to share things with, to share hobbies with, interests and a life with. And I got one guy recently saying, oh, well, how would you have a relationship without sex? I'm like, because sex isn't love. It's not the same thing as love. You can have a romantic relationship without sex. Oh, and we've got now another inappropriate question in the chat. For you, size matters. What the F? This is a prime example of a rude question to ask asexuals, right? Asexuals who don't want sex, lack sexual attraction. We don't care how big a guy's dick is because we don't have sex. We don't want your genitalia. We're not interested in it. So this question is just completely inappropriate, as is when sexual people go, you just haven't tried my dick yet. You must have had a bad experience. Try mine. Like it's some sort of like trophy or something. This is like just so rude and so annoying, right? And I'm just going to get rid of stupid comments like this. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, there's no reason for you to be here if you're just writing sexual stuff. So I'm not interested in dealing with that. I've said your comment out loud because it's just a ridiculous thing the sexuals say to asexuals, but I'm not interested in you coming on my channel talking about genitalia, right? What part of I'm asexual, don't experience sexual attraction, don't want, like, or need sex do you not understand? Right? I make it very clear. I'm not interested in genitalia. I'm not interested in a penis. I'm attracted to guys. Their hair, their face, their mouth, their nose, their shoulders, not their genitalia, right? And if that is all a guy is promoting his genitalia, is that what you're saying all guys are worth? They're just worth their dick. Is that and how big their dick is? Well, that's just disgusting. I'm not interested in that. These people who talk like that are just, obviously, that's all they think about in their head. Do you know what I mean? We're here to have intellectual conversations, not conversations based on genitalia and saying stupid things like, so size matters with you. I'm not interested in genitalia. I'm not interested in dicks, right? So, what part of that do you not understand? And this is what asexuals have to deal with all the time. Stupid comments. Like if I say I don't want sex, I'm not interested in it, don't like it, don't need it, don't experience sexual attraction, don't get the urge for sex, don't get the want for sex, and then guys come in your inbox going, oh yeah, like mine's really big, or how big do you want it, or I can make you do this, that, and the other, and you haven't tried my dick yet. This is totally inappropriate things you should never ever say to asexuals, right? I was in heterosexual relationships for a long time, and like, guys didn't talk to me like that. Even ones that I was with in relationships, they didn't speak to me like that. So why is there people on the internet coming up to me when I'm asexual saying stupid stuff like this, right? Why do guys think a penis is so enticing and so interesting to women? Why? It just looks like some wizened potatoes, to be perfectly honest with you, with a sausage in the middle. It's hardly attractive, is it? At least not to me. I personally don't think that, right? So I'm not interested. And then they'll go, oh, so you're gay then? You like women if you don't have sex with guys? It's like, no, I'm not gay. I'm not a lesbian. I'm not interested in having sex, full stop. If I was going to have sex, I would have it with a guy because I'm attracted to guys. But I'm not sexually attracted to guys. I don't get the need, urge, or want for sex. And I'd rather not have it. And these days I'm repulsed by, personally, the thought of me having it. I'm not interested in it. I have had sex in the past. But that was because I thought I had to as part of a normal relationship. Because this is what society dictates to you. Do you know what I mean? So this is just so annoying and disrespectful when people start talking about their genitalia when I've already said I'm not interested in sex on this channel. And why would you come on someone's live stream and start saying stuff like that anyway? It's just very inappropriate and very rude. So it's a good example of one of the rude things someone says to asexuals, but it's totally inappropriate. Do you know what I mean? And disrespectful. So this is some of the things that asexuals have to put up with, though. And do other sexual orientations get this said to them? Well, some do, I guess. There's a lot of people on dating sites that seem to think genitalia is the be-all and end-all, and that's life. Right? I'm not interested in that. If you don't advertise it, nobody would challenge you. What am I advertising? What, that I don't like sex? I'm allowed to advertise what I like on my channel. Look at your username. Yeah, it's called Asexualise My Asexual Life. Asexualise means asexual is a sexual orientation that is the lack of sexual attraction. That's what the word asexual means. A with sexual together means absence of sexual attraction. If you look in history, an A before something of a word put together is asexual, right? It's not the same as I'm being a sexual person. It's asexual together, absence of sexual attraction, right? So if it's absence of sexual attraction, then obviously if people are coming on my channel talking about like sex, that's inappropriate. So do you know what I mean? If they're talking about it in a have my dick way, this is totally inappropriate. So my channel name, Asexualise, the word asexualize means to make more asexual. It's like enhancing your asexuality. And my asexual life is what I share on this channel every single day for 10 years. A decade I've been doing this channel. So asexualize means basically to enhance your asexual life. That's why. So what asexualize is enhancing your asexual life. So why are you not reading and just talking? Well, I am reading your comments. So clearly I'm reading. So I can explain what I want on my channel as well. And yeah, so clearly I'm reading comments. And so yeah, so you know, this is some of the ridiculous questions asexuals get asked. And people think for some reason the word asexual means I'm advertising that I'm a highly sexual person. That's because people have a lack of knowledge and they're not educated on the topic a lot of the time. So they just think I'm advertising that I'm a sexual person when actually it's the opposite. A with sexual means absence of sexual attraction. So, and it's really important that we spread awareness of asexuality because it helps everyone, including sexuals. So if you are on a dating site, for example, and you're a sexual person, you want sex, and you come across a bunch of people that are really asexual, but you don't know they are, and they don't tell you they are because they're too scared to tell you, and then you start a relationship with them or you start dating them, and then you find out, oh, they hate sex, they really don't want sex, and you love it, you're just wasting your time and they're wasting their time. So this is why it's so important to advertise the fact, spread the word of asexuality so that people can understand that the sexual orientation actually exists. Because unfortunately, we're a minority sexual orientation, which means that we have to spread the word in order for people to understand that our sexual orientation exists, and they shouldn't take for granted that every single person they come across in their life is sexual, because that's just not correct, right? If you're on, like I said, if you're on dating or relationship website and you are looking for someone who loves sex, but you're talking to people who don't want it, don't like it, don't need it, and don't love it, you're just wasting your time and they're wasting theirs. So of course it's important for people to talk about asexuality, for people to advertise they're asexual, if that's the way you want to phrase it. It's very important. And it's very important just to raise awareness of any cause, because unless you speak out about these things, how are people supposed to know? Right? For years, asexuality has been in existence, but it wasn't given a name until about the year 2000. Right? If you go back in history, you can see people who wanted relationships without sex. So, do you know what I mean? So, yeah. You just gotta, understand that asexuality is a sexual orientation that's valid. And of course that we should speak out about asexuality. We should be really proud to be asexual. And anyone that's making us feel like we don't have a right to talk about who we are and express ourselves is not good for us, right? Just like someone who's heterosexual can, talks about their sexuality. Let's face it, there's so much sex in advertising. There's so much sex, like billboard posters, YouTube advertising, newspapers, magazines, news, television programs, dramas, soap operas. The amount of stuff that's filled with sex that asexuals have to put up with, that is driven by sexuals, and then asexual speaks out and says their point of view and they're told they shouldn't be speaking about it. Why not? Why can't we speak out about our sexual orientation? Because heterosexuals and sexuals, they put it in our faces constantly. We're constantly reminded that how many people in the world love and like and want and need sex. It's in our faces 24/7 pretty much, unless we choose not to look at that. And I personally don't watch the news. I don't use the TV. I have a TV that isn't even wired up. And I purposely try to avoid sex as much as possible. Most of the time I watch movies that don't have sex in them. And so, that's what I personally choose to do. And when people have a discussion, then it means sharing different perspectives from your own perspective. It doesn't mean to tell someone that they can't talk about who they are. So, I'm here on this channel to talk about asexuality because it's Asexual Awareness Week. And the reason we have an Asexual Awareness Week, otherwise known as ACE Week, is because we need to spread awareness of asexuality and let the world know and understand who we truly are. So in my Asexual Perspectives book, there's also people that talk about like things that they've had, like when they've had, right. Can you tell me a time when you've had to deal with intrusive questions or a difficult situation due to asexuality and what happened? This person hasn't really had any problems, they said. I tend to avoid discussing sexual relations unless I do it in a distance way. So I haven't had it come up in casual conversation. And this is because people avoid talking about it who are asexual because they're worried that they'll get bad reactions, like some of the people have given in chat tonight. So, people shouldn't be scared to talk about their sexual orientation. In Jen's story in Asexual Perspectives, can you tell me a time about when you had to deal with intrusive questions or a difficult situation due to asexuality and what happened? Well, being exceptionally fond of some of my female friends in my life got awkward. Although having sex with them wasn't even a consideration, I've had a lot of people gossip about me at points in my life that connected to various bullying/hazing incidents. When a male acquaintance found out, I'm reading from this book, about my virginity, he immediately proposed having sex with him to solve the issue. And this is a major problem. Like I said earlier, people seem to think that if they put their dick in you, then it's going to magically make you a different sexual orientation than what it is. And of course, this is very frustrating. This makes you feel very angry because, if you had sex, if a guy had sex with a lesbian, it's not going to make her, I'm not a lesbian, but I'm just giving this an example. If a guy has sex with a lesbian, it's not going to make her not be lesbian just because she's had sex with a guy. And obviously, if you make yourself have sex with anyone, you're doing sexual abuse to someone. So it should never, ever, ever be a consideration. But when Jen is talking in this Asexual Perspectives book about when a male acquaintance found out about her virginity, because she's asexual, he immediately proposed having sex with him to solve the issue. Asexuality is not a problem that needs fixing, right? This is something that sexuals say to asexuals. Oh, I can help you fix that problem. No, it's not a problem. It's not an issue, right? What's a problem and an issue is when someone thinks they can have sex with you in order to try and change you and make you something you're not. Asexuality is not a problem that needs fixing. It's not a mental disorder. It's not something that needs to be changed. It's a sexual orientation. You don't walk up to heterosexuals and going, you've got some mental health problem. You're very seriously disturbed and you need to basically see a doctor so you can get rid of your heterosexual problem. I know what I'll do. I'll just starve you for years of sex. That'll solve your sexual urges. Really? It'll probably make your sexual urges worse. So, because you'll crave something, right? So, hi Lee, it's nice to see you. I haven't seen you for ages. So if you wouldn't say stuff like that to heterosexuals, why are you saying it to asexuals? It's really, really inappropriate. And definitely, magic dick theory, the fact that, you can have sex with someone and they think that you're magically going to change your sexual orientation is just a load of rubbish. Someone talks about that in my Asexual Perspective book. Like, the people that talk about magic dick theory, meaning that they think their dick is going to miraculously change our sexual orientation and make us want to have sex. It's like, no, it's disgusting. Put it away. I'm not interested in it. Right. And then when Jen is speaking in this, she's saying, when I showed a complete lack of enthusiasm for the idea of sex, I was immediately branded as frigid and uptight and treated with scorn by him from that point onwards. So this is some of the things that asexuals have to put up with, right? The fact that, we're accused of being a prude or frigid or some other horrible term just because we're not doing what other people want us to do. And this is how people manipulate people, right? They try to force their own beliefs on someone else to make them do certain things, right? And they don't like it when we're not interested. So some people in this chat tonight haven't liked the fact that I've been very bold in what I'm saying, right? It's the fact that, some of the things sexuals say to asexuals are inappropriate. They don't like that, and they'll try and say there's something bad about that, and there's something not right with me or something. But that's not, the only reason they're saying that is because they're uncomfortable with me sticking up for asexuals and saying this is not on, right? It's not up for debate, our sexual orientation. So while you can have a discussion about asexuality in the fields of sexuality, asexuality is not up for debate. You can't come and debate someone's sexuality and say, well, I don't think you really are asexual. Let me debate it with you. It's like, do you want us to debate your sexual status? No. So if you don't want us to debate the fact whether you're heterosexual or not, or whether you're really just misguided, because we could start doing that, then why should you want to force your opinion on us and label it a discussion? Like, do you know what I mean? So it's not a discussion if you're telling me I can't be who I am and on my own channel talk about asexuality. So it's very important that we stick up for ourselves, we advocate for ourselves, and we know we have the right to have a voice in the world. And while other people would like to drown our voice out, we deserve to have a voice just as much as any other sexual orientation. And, there's some really rude things that sexuals say to asexuals that just shouldn't even be said, because it's like you wouldn't speak to someone of any other sexual orientation like that. Right, so let's look at Juanita's story. Can you tell me about a time when you've had to deal with intrusive questions or a difficult situation due to asexuality and what happened? Once some girl in an open relationship wanted to kiss me, and I said I don't believe in kissing unless you're in love. And she looked at me with shock and said, well, that's a waste of your youth. Right, really, because this is so new to me, I haven't really had the questions, but I'm sure they will come if I attempt the dating scene. So yeah, so people think that if you're asexual, your life's boring, you've got nothing to do, there's no interest to your life, and why would you want that type of life, right? First of all, an asexual doesn't choose to be asexual. Like I said, it's just something we naturally are. And our life is far from boring because we're not focused on sex, and we don't have to dress up for sex, and we don't have to prepare for sex for those of us who are not having sex. Hello, Moonwalker, nice to see you. Then we don't have to deal with all that stuff. Actually, we've got more time to be thinking about what we want to do with our lives, to be focused on our own hobbies, to be focused on our own interests, and be able to focus more clearly on other things when we're not thinking about sex. Sex is very addictive for some people, and it can really control the mind. They can be very addicted to sex. So it can be like, who can I have sex with? How can I dress up for sex? How can I be more sexy? And everything like that. And that their life can be very ruled by sex. But the fact that we're asexual, and the asexuals that are not interested in having sex, we have more capacity in our life for other things because that's not a focus of us. Someone's asking, Moonwalker, do you have TikTok? No, I don't have TikTok. I focus on this channel so much. I think that if I had TikTok, I wouldn't. One is I'm not really keen on the platform. I haven't used it because I haven't subscribed to it, but I've seen other people's videos on there. And I love YouTube so much, and I want to continue to grow this channel. And if I split my focus too much, I won't be able to put all my time and energy into this channel, which is growing rapidly at the moment. So we've gone over 1.5 million views on this channel now, but that requires a lot of work. I mean, literally, I'm uploading a lot more videos. I'm doing a lot more shorts videos every day than I ever was before. So even in the last 28 days, we've gone over 133,000 views. I'm more focused on my TikTok. Haha, I love YouTube, but my attention is a little more TikTok. Right, okay. I mean, everyone has their preferences, doesn't it? I've never created an account there because I can't, I run 6 Facebook groups. I'm on X, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on here, and obviously I got my own Facebook pages and profile as well as 6 Facebook groups. It's just too much for me to do other stuff, because it's just like I would have to take time out of this, and I want to continue growing this channel because it's going really well at the moment, but it's a lot of work for me, more than ever, because I used to upload like 3 to 5 shorts a day. Over the last couple of months, I'm averaging 8 to 10 shorts a day usually, and that's a lot of work, time, energy and effort on my part, and it's hard. Right, earlier I was feeling poorly. I mean, I slept for nearly 10 hours today. I didn't get up till nearly 4, but I've got broken bones in my spine, so obviously, I went to physio yesterday and I was like busy all the time. So I just feel like if I was doing TikTok, I wouldn't be able to give this channel as much dedication. Me, 0 to 7 shorts a day, ha ha ha. It's hard doing, I like doing them. I love doing them, but I consciously have to make an effort to do even more this time than I used to. Like, I'm constantly thinking, would this make a good shorts? Yeah, let's share it. Or let's share this. For example, when I get out of the shower, I do quite a lot of videos of me in a towel these days, which could be a bit controversial, considering I'm asexual, and some people will be like, why have you got a towel around you and your chest is showing if you're asexual? Because obviously some people think that if you're asexual that you can't dress sexually, or you can't show any of your, skin or whatever. Some asexuals like that. In general, I don't tend to show my cleavage very much. You'll probably notice that in my videos. Like, you won't see much of my bare cleavage, if you know what I mean. I think you can see enough of it in my tops, to be honest, but that's another story. But you know what I mean, because I come out the shower and I've got like my turban towel on. But I just think sometimes it's nice to come out the shower and talk to camera. I was doing a singing video after being in the shower, because sometimes when I come out the shower, because sometimes I'm like singing tunes in the shower, and I thought, oh well, I'll just put the camera on now after I've come out the shower, because I can remember the song. I'm in flow with the words of the song. Do you know what I mean? I'm in a good beat because I've been singing it over and over again or something in the shower. What's asexual mean again? I forgot, so sorry. Oh, right, okay. So asexuality. So some ace, ACE, is like the nickname for asexual. So asexual is the actual word. So asexual basically means, if you think of it as absence of sexual attraction, that's what I like to describe it as. It's easy then to remember. So the A with sexual together basically means absence of sexual attraction. So it means like asexuals lack sexual attraction because the sexual attraction is absent. Right, but there are different types of asexuals. There's pure asexuals and grey asexuals. So 2 types and multiple different types within those. So asexuality, the short definition of asexuality is a lack of sexual attraction. But a lack of sexual attraction can mean 2 things. A lack can mean you've got none of it, as in no sexual attraction. And it can also mean lack, as in you don't have enough of it. Enough sexual attraction. So asexuals who are pure asexuals, they don't have any sexual attraction whatsoever. It's basically completely absent. And then grey asexuals, they usually do have some sexual attraction, but they lack the usual full sexual attraction. So for example, they might just have sexual attraction in certain types of circumstances, limited circumstances, rare circumstances, specific circumstances. Or some grey asexuals do experience sexual attraction, but just not enough to want to act on it. But I always say A with sexual, absence of sexual attraction is an easier way to remember it. If you see A with sexual together, basically it means absence of sexual attraction. But like I said, because there's grey asexuals, some people could say, well, that doesn't include grey asexuals. But if you think of the lack of sexual attraction, then grey asexuals lack the usual sexual attraction. Pure asexuals lack any sexual attraction. So I guess I'm ace. Speaking of ace, Rip Ace Frehley. Speaking of Ace, rest in peace, Ace Frehley. Is that how you pronounce the name? Frehley. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't actually know who you're talking about. Just put on some makeup. You can. Oh right, someone's being really rude on here. Just put on some makeup. You can get laid. Good luck. I can get laid anytime I want, mate. Like, I got guys queuing up to have sex with me. I'm not interested in sex. That's the whole point. He's a member of the Kiss Band. You know, oh, right, okay. Thanks, Moonwalker. This, like, Alpha, the first one, is just so rude. I've had to delete and block quite a few people who are just being rude, right? Asexuality is not about the fact you can't get laid or have sex. It's about the fact you lack sexual attraction, like I explained, but clearly Alpha wasn't here earlier. Is some asexuals do have sex, right? It's not that I can't have sex. I get offers of sex all the time. The guys in my inbox, guys I meet, they'd love to have sex with me. I'm just not interested. And as I pointed out earlier in this conversation, I have had sex in the past because I thought I had to as part of a normal relationship. I'm not interested, and I don't like wearing makeup. As far as I'm concerned, I'm beautiful enough. Thanks very much. I'm not trying to impress anyone else. I'm happy with Alpha, bro. That's me. And yeah, exactly. I'm just gonna like hide the user. There's no point in having that type of person who clearly is rude to asexuals on here. But at least I read the comment out, so you know what we have to put up with as asexuals. It's terrible, right? It's not that I can't have sex. If I wanted to, I'd really have it, but I'm not interested in it. Like I said, I've had it in the past. I know what to do. It's like, I'm really not interested in it. Like, the last time I had sex was 2011 because I'm not interested in it. And, you know, that's what makes it harder to find a relationship. And I definitely don't even need makeup for guys to want sex with me. Like, even the Indian guy I was kissing a few weeks ago, he invited me back to his place, and I'm like, no, I don't have sex, I'm not interested in that. He's like, oh, just for kissing, which is never true, right? It's like, really, no. Like, that was the end. I didn't see him again because I told him I wasn't interested in meeting up casually for hookups or anything like that. Well, you know, I wasn't seeing him for a hookup then, but I'm not interested in that, I told him. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, but this is the sort of rude comments we get all the time. Like, you know what I mean? Just because I'm asexual doesn't mean to say I'm not attractive. And I don't care if people don't find me attractive, but do you know what I mean? It's like, I like the way I look. And that's the beauty of being asexual. You don't have to dress up for anyone else. You don't have to look a certain way for anyone else. You don't have to wear sexy lingerie for anyone else. You don't have to be something you're not to just get someone interested in you. And besides, if guys are really interested in sex, they don't really care what the person looks like. If they're just sexually driven rather than relationship driven, they just have sex with loads of people. I've witnessed guys in nightclubs before going, oh, I'm going to get laid tonight. It doesn't matter who it's with, really. You know, like a girl, clearly they want to. But it's like, you know what I mean? They just care about the sex. And that's not asexuality. So yeah. Oh, thank you for telling me about the Kiss Band. I'm so sorry that someone's passed away in the Kiss Band. That's terrible. I don't really care about, like, asexual things, but it helps to know about when you talk about it. It's cool when people talk about it, though. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's important people know. The reason is even if you're not asexual, it's really important you know this because 1 in 100 people usually are asexual. So they did a survey years ago. It's like this psychologist did a survey years ago. And from his survey, he discovered 1 in 100 people were asexual, likely to be asexual. I actually think there's probably far more, but people just don't talk about asexuality because it's frowned upon if you don't like sex or want sex or need it. It's seen as not normal and all the rest of it, which it's normal for some people not to want, like, or need sex. And it's natural for some people to be that way. But, you know, it's hard because people are uncomfortable with what they don't understand and what's not natural for them. So I'm tired. So if some of my comments don't make sense, it's because I'm really tired. Oh, okay, Moonwalker. And so it's really important that people understand about asexuality, because 1 in 100 people you meet are likely to be asexual. This means you could meet someone who's in a theatre performance or in the audience. You can meet someone at a concert. You can meet someone in the street that's asexual, in the supermarket that's asexual. You could have a family member or friend that's asexual, co-worker, someone you know at uni or something like this. And by learning about what the signs are of asexuality, you can start to understand or think that some of the people you come across might be asexual. It's kind of interesting, because the more you discover about it, the more you can sort of feel when someone's more likely to be asexual. And you can sort of, because, like if you talk about sex, or you're around a lot of people that talk about sex, and this person kind of like is looking like, what's going on? They're shying away. They're not really interested, all this type of thing. Then you can kind of sense it. If they say that not interested in having a sexual relationship, that means they're likely asexual. They don't really understand sexual relations, and they don't see what the big deal is about sex, and they get turned off on dating sites by people who want sex with them, but in a really strong way. Then yeah, they could be asexual. My friend is ace, and my mum just turned ace a couple of weeks ago. Okay, I would question the word turned ace a couple of weeks ago, because you don't usually being asexual is not something you do you mean by turned ace? Do you mean she found out she was asexual, or that she decided to become asexual? Because one of the myths is that people think they can become asexual. You can't become asexual, as in like you can't make yourself be asexual. Because I get a number of people come on this channel saying, how can I make myself be asexual? I mean, you can't make yourself be asexual. It's sexual orientation. Oh, she found out she was asexual. That makes sense. Yeah, that's really interesting. Well, it's good that you're here, because it means you can support her. Because people who are asexual some asexuals can feel very lonely. I mean, I'm openly out about being asexual, right? But there's a lot of asexuals that keep things being asexual to themselves. They feel they can't tell anyone at work. They can't tell people they know. They can't tell their relatives or relations. They feel like they get 1,000,001 questions, a lot of them inappropriate questions and stuff like that. And so it's very good that you're here learning about it, so that you can support them. Because asexuals tend to think differently, and it can be very isolating for some asexuals. Some asexuals don't want to be asexual. They hate it. They're like, I just want to be normal and have like sex, marriage, and kids like everyone else. But I don't feel that way. And I know that it's not going to be good for me or right for me. She's a single mum. So yeah, tells about herself. Ah, well, I'm glad that she's got you. It's very good that she's got you. Especially that's learning about asexuality. Tell her about this book, the Asexual Perspectives book, because this book has changed lives. Like, I've had people like email me and message me saying they felt they were broken, or there's something really wrong with them, until they read this book, Asexual Perspectives book. It's like got 47 asexuals in it in total, including myself, and it's all about different perspectives of love, life, and sex. You probably enjoy reading it as well, because it's very interesting, because some asexuals do have sex. Not everyone's the same as me, for example, and sex repulsed. But like I said, I've had sex in the past. She already got that book like a couple of days ago. Oh, did she? Wow. That's really good. I didn't know that. Wow. So yeah. Oh, this is great. Tell her thank you. I don't know if you can see it because it's backwards, but if you probably know what the book cover looks like anyway. So yeah. Did she get it from Amazon or somewhere else? I'm curious. Because I know you can order it from bookshops as well. So yeah, but oh yeah, thanks for stopping by. It's nice to see you. So let me carry on reading some of this. Right, so we're going to go to Carrion Purdy's story in Asexual Perspectives now. And Carrion, can you tell me about a time when you've had to deal with intrusive questions or a difficult situation due to asexuality, and what happened? Since I only really bring it up when potentially dating someone, there's the standard, do you masturbate? So yeah, this is something that I've had a number of times. Like, a number of times on dating sites, I'm like, so, have you had sex then? Or so you're saying you've never had sex before? So they automatically assume that if I say I'm asexual and I'm not interested in sex, I've never had sex before. Or they ask me outright, so have you had sex before? But either one of those is irrelevant because I've only just met the person. And if I say I'm not interested in sex these days, that's what they should be interested in. Because it doesn't matter where I've had sex in the past or I've not had sex in the past. If I say I don't want sex, that's all they should be listening to. They shouldn't be fantasizing or thinking about what I have done in my past or what I might have done and might not have done. All they should care about is what I want now, because they should be focused on either dating or having a relationship with the person in front of them, rather than some fantasy or some made up thing they've got in their head. Or if they were going to try and use my past against me. So you've had sex in the past, so why can't you have sex with me? Or they might think that because I've had sex in the past, that somehow I'll come round to having it again with them because I've already done it. So this is a really bad assumption. And asking an asexual, do they masturbate, is, again, it's got absolutely nothing to do with whether they want sex or not. Some asexuals do masturbate, some don't masturbate, right? But whether an asexual person masturbates or not doesn't make any difference to them being asexual. An asexual can still pleasure themselves. That's not what asexuality is. Asexuality is a lack of sexual attraction to one to one person and all people, right? They lack sexual attraction unless they're on the grey part of the asexual spectrum, in which case, for example, if they're a demisexual person, they would need to form a deep emotional connection in order to experience sexual attraction. That might only just be for a handful of people in their whole life. So, but asexuals don't get the need, urge, or want for partner sexual intercourse with anyone if they are a person who doesn't experience any sexual attraction whatsoever. And saying, like, do you masturbate is just such a intrusive, inappropriate question, because that, whether I masturbate or not, has got nothing to do with where I can have a relationship with someone or not, or whether I'm asexual or not. Some asexuals have a sex drive and they masturbate to relieve that sex drive, because the sex drive usually isn't aimed at anyone. If they're a pure asexual who has zero sexual attraction, for example. Some asexuals just masturbate because they see it as an act of self-love and self-pleasure without it being anything to do with another person. So it's just a really inappropriate question asking an asexual person if they masturbate, because it's totally irrelevant to whether you're going to have a good relationship with that person or not, or whether they want sex with you or not. All you should do is listen to what they're saying by asking them actual questions that gauge compatibility. Do you know what I mean? So Carrie Ann says, and I don't talk to them anymore because they are not my type of people. You know, which is fair enough. Like, why should a person carry on talking to someone if they ask them these questions? But on the other hand, sometimes you can always tell who actually wants to know more because they will ask the right questions. Yeah, so if you're on a dating site with an asexual person, you know, ask the person, like, what does asexuality mean to you? How does your asexuality, you know, feel on an everyday basis for you? Like, how is your sexual orientation impacting relationships and dating scenarios? These types of questions. And like, what does asexuality actually mean if you don't know what it means? And, you know, ask good educational questions and say, so, you know, like, in terms of intimacy, did you, you know, like, do you like any type of intimacy? Because I've had guys as well on dating sites and I say, I'm not interested in having sex, and they're like, oh, well, what will you do for me then? Will you give me a BJ, meaning blowjob? It's like, I'm not interested in sex, and I'm not interested in oral sex or anal sex or anything like that. And they think just because I won't have penetrative sex that I might have oral sex. And it's like, no, you know, it's like, and the fact they think I've got to do a sexual act for them to date them is just incredibly naive and incredibly rude and inappropriate, right? You don't have to do sexual acts to date someone or be in a relationship with them. And obviously they're not the right type of people or person if they think that you've got to do that with them, you know? So we're going to go to Hannah Lay's story now, an Asexual Perspectives book. Right, can you tell me about a time when you have had to deal with intrusive questions or a difficult situation due to asexuality and what happened? Just the other day, a friend sent a handful of pictures of a shirtless actor to our group chat, and they were exclaiming over how hot he was. Just before this, I'd been trying to find out where she was so I could meet up with her, and she included that it was the message containing the images. Is this making sense, or have I skipped a line? I'm going to go back to the beginning of the paragraph. So just the other day, a friend sent a handful of pictures of a shirtless actor to our group chat, and they were exclaiming over how hot he was. Just before this, I'd been trying to find out where she was so I could meet up with her, and she included that in the message saying the images. So my response was, thanks, I'll be there soon. However, they all started asking me why I wasn't commenting on the guy. I can't even remember anything about him now. And I had to deal with explaining that he just didn't appeal to me. I remember that he had nice eyes and mentioned them, but that was it. I felt really awkward because that led to me explaining that I have a very low to non-existent sex drive, which is just an awkward conversation to have with a mixed-gendered group of teenaged people. So yeah, that's what's so difficult when, you know, people bring up topics of conversation that asexuals are just not interested in. And then it can lead to awkwardness when you kind of ask more and more questions like, oh, so you're not interested in guys. So, you know, you're a lesbian then. No, I'm not a lesbian. All right. So why aren't you interested in having sex with guys? Because I'm asexual. I don't get it. They don't get it because they can't understand someone who's so different to them. But what is there not to get? Some people don't like doing certain things. They don't like, you know, trekking around Europe. They don't like climbing Mount Everest. Don't like canoeing. Some people don't like dogs, even though dogs are very cute to a lot of people, you know. There's something about different people that they don't like, right? And some asexuals don't mind having sex. Some asexuals like it like a board game, for example, to do with their significant other. But many asexuals are just not interested in it. So asking them people a series of questions to find out why they don't want sex, like why don't you find that actor hot, blah blah blah. I can find actors hot though, I just don't want sex with them, like aesthetically hot. Do you know what I mean? So I think it all depends on the different asexual in front of you, because, you know, a lot of asexuals, they don't like the word hot, and some of them would feel very uncomfortable if you said they're sexy or hot. So with Silgi, can you tell me about a time where you've had to deal with intrusive questions or a difficult situation due to your asexuality and what happened? I haven't gotten any intrusive questions yet, but Netflix and chill means something else. I found out the hard way. Oh, and hang out doesn't mean hang out. Why aren't these things explained? Holy hell, I had to be saved by my friend. All's good, nothing too bad happened. I got out of there before his drunk ass could do anything. So this isn't an actual question, but obviously asexuals do get asked questions about coming back to someone's place, like I mentioned. And if you're an asexual person who doesn't want sex, and then the person is like, oh, come back to my place. Come back to my place doesn't mean just come back to my place to watch movies. It actually means come back to my place because I want sex with you. So while that's not a direct intrusive question specifically about asexual character traits, etc., it's basically it's a question that implies that they're going to want sex, even if you told them you're asexual. I've told people at some meetups I'm not interested in having sex, and still they'll say to me, oh, come back to my place. It's like, what part of I'm not interested in sex do they not understand? I had a guy who a couple of months, well, a month before last, I think it was, he turned around and goes, oh, he like said that he was interested in me. I said, I'm not interested. He goes, oh, do you want to come back to mine? And I'm like, no. And he knows I'm asexual because I told him that I was asexual and I'm not interested in sex. And he's like, oh, but I'm so lonely. And I'm thinking it's not up to me to solve his loneliness issue. Do you know what I mean? So asking someone who said they don't want sex, then back to your place, which means sex, is just totally inappropriate. Right? So, right. So let's see if there's any other intrusive things in this book. There's quite a lot of people that have had intrusive questions thrown at them. Right. When am I... right. Okay, I think I've already read that one out. Oh no, this is Anne's. About intrusive questions. Well, being exceptionally fond of some of my female friends in my life got awkward. Although having sex with them wasn't even a consideration. Oh yeah, I've already said this. That they became a lot of gossip because they didn't want sex. They became a focal feature of a lot of gossip. That was Anne's story, actually. So yeah. Can you tell me about a time you had to deal with intrusive questions? South American Anonymous' story. Well, people always ask me if I'm homosexual. That's what I said, didn't I? That people say to me, oh, you're a lesbian then, because you don't want sex with guys. It's like, no. I'm still attracted to guys romantically, aesthetically, in a lot of other ways. I just don't want sex with them. I don't know if they are serious or not, says South American Anonymous' story, but both males and females do. So then I tell them I'm asexual and they won't be happy with me, or I simply tell them I don't date. I also feel awkward when people ask me if I'm heterosexual or not. Usually people understand I'm not available for their desires, but they find me odd. So, yeah, I mean, I'm hetero-asexual, so I'm attracted to guys without the sexual attraction. But usually heterosexual and asexual are kind of like opposites. Because obviously a heterosexual person is sexually attracted to the opposite gender. I'm asexual, hetero-asexual, because I'm attracted to the opposite gender, but in an asexual way, not in a sexual way. So it's really difficult when, you know, people ask you questions that are just intrusive, because it's like, why are you doing that? You wouldn't really do it to any other person. I don't come across people who are, you know, like asking these sorts of questions to asexuals. That they're asking to other people of other sexual orientations, like heterosexuals. For every question someone asks an asexual person, they could ask a heterosexual person. Some heterosexual people haven't had sex for months or years because, you know, people don't want it with them. And the assumption that just because someone's asexual, they can't get sex is a real big misconception. Like I said, I get offers for sex regularly and I'm just not interested in it, you know? And so for asexuals, a lot of us, we look to have other things in a relationship. We look for compatibility in terms of hobbies, shared interests, being able to be comfortable with the other person in our own sexuality, you know, being able to tell the other person we're asexual and them, you know, respect that. But when people are trying to like use their own private parts, genitalia, to change an asexual person and make them not be asexual, it's just ridiculous, because that's not what asexuality is. Asexuality is not about suppressing, repressing, or stopping ourselves from having sex. It's about the fact we lack sexual attraction and we don't look at someone and think, oh, I really want sex with you. You know, if we're a pure asexual, we don't go around thinking that type of thing because we lack all sexual attraction. And I think that people should be more open to asexuality and understand and accept it for what it is, rather than trying to change us and fix us and think there's something wrong with us. Right? It's not a mental disorder. It's nothing that needs fixing. It's no hormonal problem. It's like not through some traumatic episode or something like that. There are some asexuals that have had traumatic sexual experiences, just like there's some heterosexuals that have had traumatic experiences. So, you know, there's people of every sexual orientation that's had those experiences. But that's kind of what makes it so much more even inappropriate when someone's saying, oh, have you had like if you had sexual abuse and that's why you're asexual, it's two different things. Do you know what I mean? So some asexuals have had sexual abuse, some haven't. It doesn't change their sexual orientation. There are some people that do come into the asexual community that have had sexual abuse. There are some people who that's how they came across the term asexual, because they no longer have a desire or interested in sex, right? And there's someone on Reddit who made up a category of asexuals for that specific reason. But having trauma through sex is not the same thing as experiencing no sexual attraction. I just want to be clear about that. But if someone comes into the asexual community and they identify as asexual, it's not for me to tell them that they're not asexual, and decide for them how they identify, right? But I don't want people thinking that, oh, every person that's had sexual trauma is asexual. I was born asexual but didn't realise it. But looking back throughout my whole life now, it's obvious that I was asexual since I was born, because I was never interested in doing sexual stuff. In my mind, I wasn't interested in that. I was only interested in thinking about kissing and cuddling and holding hands. How I got to have sex was because I was pressurized into it, actually. And obviously I wouldn't do that again now. But, unless I want to have sex, I won't be pressurized into having sex. But I'm saying this because that's what actually happened. And I wasn't even thinking about that type of thing. It didn't cross my mind because I don't associate with love with sex. I don't associate love with sex. I don't associate them together. They're two different things. I don't associate sex with romance either. I can love and be romantic without sex. And also, asexuality is not the same as having a disability that prevents you having sex. An asexual person might go well with someone who can't have sex because of a disability they've got, because an asexual could love a person without the sex. But oftentimes I feel that if someone has a disability that prevents them having sex, that can be a very frustrating thing for them and can make them feel really angry inside, and like they don't feel good about it. Whereas I feel good about being asexual because I'm happy that I don't have sex. I don't get the need, urge, or want for it, so I'm not missing out. So another thing, is some sexuals say, oh, you're missing out. And it's like, really, I'm not, because I'm not missing something or missing out on something I don't even want. I don't need, I don't get the urge for. I'm not interested. Like I said, I'm a person who's had sex in the past anyway. It's not like I don't know what it's like. I've had good and bad sex, just for the record, because some people are like, oh, you haven't had good sex, that's why you're asexual. It's like, no, I have actually had good sex. My last long-term ex was good at that, but I'm just not interested. I'd rather be doing other stuff, and after that relationship ended, I just couldn't bring myself to have it ever again. I was just, my mind's just like, I just can't do that anymore. Because I realised I was just doing it because that's what's expected of me. I never looked at my ex and thought, oh, I really want to have sex with you or anyone in my life. It hasn't happened that comes into my head. It comes into my head that I really want to snog a guy right now. Kiss his face off, basically, if I'm really attracted to him aesthetically and romantically, particularly Indian guys. But it doesn't come, into my head about having sex, because that's not what I'm interested in. It's not an interest of mine. I don't find it interesting. You'll find that some asexuals, when they are having sex, their mind is elsewhere because it's not interesting for them. They'd rather be doing other things. Their mind wanders off. This is not true for every asexual, but for some asexuals. I even remember that I was thinking about, I wonder what's on TV later on, or I was thinking about something else and I felt quite guilty that I was thinking about other things. But you know what I mean? My mind wanders off because it's not something that I'm really interested in. But when I'm kissing, then my mind is usually focused on the person and the feeling of the kissing, because it's so intense and it's so beautiful and it's so exciting for me that, I'm very focused on that. And because I'm so invigorated, it feels like I'm very present for the person, which feels good to me. So I think, it's important that before you talk to an asexual person, or if you are going to talk to an asexual person, you ask some respectful questions like, oh, so you're asexual. Like, tell me about that. Like, what does asexual mean to you personally? And how does your asexual, or how does your asexuality, like, affect your everyday relationships and life, this type of thing? If you're going to date a person who's asexual, like, how does it affect it, or does it not have any impact? Like, are you open about being asexual? Maybe affect's not the right word, because then it sounds like it's a disease or something. Asexuality isn't a disease. But, like, how does your asexuality, like, how are you in your asexuality day to day? And how does it, I mean, you could say, like, how does it affect relationships you have and, your dating experience, that type of thing. Because, it can be very difficult for asexuals to do dating if they're dating someone who's not asexual, because it can be hard, because we're trying to communicate the fact, those of us that don't want, like, or need sex, exactly that. And a lot of the people just aren't getting it or understanding it. But I have come across some guys who have been with asexuals before, but they're like, never again. They're like, I just really miss the sex. I just really wanted it, and I can't be like that ever again, because I just need the sex. And to be in a relationship without a sex, it just wasn't good for me. So that's them being honest, And if you're a person that does really like sex and the asexual person doesn't, it's better to be honest and upfront about that and just realize you're not compatible. Do you know what I mean? If the person who's asexual really doesn't want sex and you do, it's better to just part ways and look for another person that's more compatible for you. There's nothing wrong with being asexual, just like there's nothing wrong with being any sexual orientation. It's how we naturally are. I mean, I've had some insults, like I had a taxi driver once going, oh, you're in a daze, because I said I'm not interested in sex. And I said to him, so you're in a daze because you're heterosexual, are you? He didn't like that very much. But he got quite angry, I think, and he was driving the car, the taxi cab, so I had to shut up for my own safety in that situation. And then sometimes I get a reaction, like I say I'm asexual, and people just take it all in their stride. They're like, all right, cool, whatever, they just say it, So they're just interested to know more. Some people I've spoke to have asexual friends, and it's quite normal when they've got people who they're friends with who are asexual, because they're around people that's like this all the time. It's only people that, want to change other people that come in and say ridiculous things. Obviously, some people who are not asexual might say something that's not appropriate to an asexual person without an intention to be harmful or insulting or disrespectful. But then, if they're asking you in an educational way and they're just like saying something that isn't great. But there's other people, like you've seen this channel tonight, who came in comments I've deleted now, saying ridiculous things like, oh, you just need to get laid. It's like, I don't need to get laid. Having sex is not going to change my sexual orientation. And if I said I don't like, want, or need sex, why would I do that and abuse myself or get a guy to abuse me? Do you know what I mean? Because if someone's having sex against their will and they don't want it, that's sexual abuse. So we shouldn't even be having these conversations. There should be no one coming in chat saying this type of thing to me or anyone else. It's really, really rude. And so always think about what you're saying to the person. Now, I wouldn't dream of going to a heterosexual person saying, if you abstain from sex for like a year or 2 years or however long, then you'll never want sex in your life and it'll change your sexual orientation. You'll be fixed from being a heterosexual. I wouldn't dream of saying that to a heterosexual person. It's like, why would I want to fix a heterosexual person? Because if I care about people, I want them to just be themselves. If a heterosexual person loves sex and I don't love it, that's good for them, and it's good for me to know that they're not the right person for me. We shouldn't be trying to change each other and make each other something we're not. We should be accepting that we're different, and that's okay. And different people have different needs in relationships. Different people have different personal needs, different people have different sexual orientations, and every sexual orientation is valid. But we should be respected for what we do like, in our own right. Not made to feel that we need to change or something's wrong with us or broken or anything, because we're not broken. Asexuality is a beautiful sexual orientation, in my opinion. Someone who's asexual, is me. And I love being asexual, you know. There's nothing that needs fixing. There's no disorder, no problem. There's just people who are different to the majority of the sexual population of heterosexuals. And that's okay. Anyway, I hope you've liked this live stream. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you to the kind people in chat. Nice to see you, Lee, and Moonwalker as well, and Yvonne. So lovely to see you. Don't forget to grab a copy of my Asexual Perspectives book on Amazon. Just type in Asexual Perspectives 47 Asexual Stories in Amazon, or Diary Confessions of a Hyperromantic Asexual. This has got all 5-star reviews on Amazon. 78 life lessons to Asexual life. So grab a copy of these books. And I'll see you soon next video live stream. Lots of love. Take care. Subscribe and hit the bell icon. Don't forget to share this video with anyone you think may benefit from it. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Lots of love. Oh, hi Lee. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here. Bye. Thanks for saying nice chat.